home this morning. Me and the boys were out in the shop fairly late last night. Doing some maintenance on the white S10, Billy's truck. And adjusted the valves, changed the motor oil in it. When we pulled the valve covers off, we found that some of the powder coat on the inside is peeling off. And I think that may be due to the methanol. So we went ahead and took the AFR valve covers off. And we had another set of valve covers I bought for Tommy's truck a long time ago, and they wouldn't fit on Tommy's truck because of the stock heater box on the firewall. It wouldn't quite clear that. They're kind of giving some trouble about leaking, but I feel that the leak was probably just caused by the gaskets we were using. So anyway, we cleaned those up, polished them, put them back on Billy's truck. He's got to run into Jegs today and get a few odds and ends. Oil filter, he didn't have a filter last night. We usually get those down there in AM1 Auto Parts, but he's got to go to Jegs anyway. So anyway, we just did some maintenance on the S10s last night. I took some video of that. Go ahead and show it to you. All right, so it is, let's see, what night is it? Wednesday night? Yeah, it's Wednesday night. And we are out here in the shop, getting ready to do some service work on the S10. The truck needs an oil change, and it needs the valves adjusted, a few other things. So how many passes do you think it's got on this oil? It's been in there for a month, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably about a month. So I'd say 30 passes. 25 maybe.
Really, the hard part on it is warming it up and shutting it off all the time, because it takes so long to warm it up. And we've been doing more of that than we have been racing it down at the pad. So I get asked quite a bit, how bad is the maintenance on methanol? Well, not bad, because there isn't really any extra maintenance.
I haven't had the valve covers off this truck since Magnolia.
The valve covers haven't been off
$10,000.
since you won that 10 grander?
10 grand in Magnolia was the last time I had the valve covers off. That was 4 months ago, I think, 3 months ago.
No, not 4.
Was that
2?
August, right?
Oh yeah,
August, so September,
October.
October.
So it's been 3 months.
November.
3 months. So it's been 3 months since we had the valve covers off to adjust any valves or do anything. I think we've changed the oil in it a couple of times. I keep it written down on the lift over here. Let's see, the last oil change was, well, no, that's Tommy's truck. This is all Tommy's truck. I don't know.
Last time I changed the oil.
See, when I do it, I always... See that? Can you see that? Like, I'll put the decal up there and then write the date on it so I keep track of it. See, these are Tommy's oil changes. Tommy's got 4 oil changes before we tore it up so bad we can't change oil anymore. So anyway, I think it's been about a month since we changed oil in Billy's truck.
But I mean, I didn't race every single weekend. I raced probably 3 out of the 4 weekends.
Right.
So
The methanol is a little hard on your eyes though.
Yeah, it is and everything.
Whew. A little rough. So there's a few little secrets. I wouldn't say there's secrets, just tips, I guess, maybe, to how we get by with not changing the oil every week. And it's very simple. It's a carburetor. No, really. I'll show you. Hang on. See this little hose right here that goes to the vacuum block? It's like a 3/8 hose or a -6. That little hose goes in the cab. This is an old bracket racer's trick. Roundy round motor trick. Oh. Goes to this little valve right here. It's a gate valve. It's open there, it's closed there. So what we do is we start the truck up, and once it fires, Billy opens that valve. It's called a lean out valve. And it's basically just a controlled vacuum leak. And what that does is it leans out the air fuel mixture on the idle circuit and allows the engine to build heat. Now, the other thing we do is Billy's truck has an electric water pump. And let me show you something. If you ever see us screwing around underneath the hood, hey, where's your relay at? It's not here. Oh. See, we're just hillbillies. We're not smart enough to put this shit on a switch. This is the relay that runs the water pump and the fans. So when we go to start the truck up, we pull that relay so that the water pump doesn't run.
We should probably do something with that.
Yeah, we really should do something with that. Anyway, we pull that relay so that the water pump doesn't run. And he opens the lean out valve. And then we also run a 180-degree thermostat in the thermostat housing. However, this engine does have bypass hoses on the back of the intake manifold that bypass the thermostat. So it's got two -6 lines that run from the back of the intake up to the back of this thermostat housing right here. Right here. So those are running all the time, and it basically just circulates hot water from the back of the heads constantly. So the only time the thermostat actually opens is when it gets really hot. It's got to get 180 degrees up here in the intake manifold, which, does it ever get to 180?
No, hardly ever.
Yeah. Anyway, the key is building heat. You got to get the engine hot. You need to get the oil hot, especially. The water temperature is one thing. Oil temperature is something totally different. And I learned this a long time ago when I was bracket racing my Nova. It was on methanol for, I don't know, 12 or 13, 14, 15 years. And of course, in bracket racing, consistency is key. And I had a little 357 in the Nova, and I learned very quickly what it takes to be consistent. That car was deadly consistent for what it was. And I would keep track of the oil temperature. I had an oil temperature gauge in the car and had a transmission temperature gauge in the car. I had all kinds of shit in that car. But anyway, the key to keeping the oil clean is get her hot. And you got to get it as hot as you can, as quickly as you can. So we don't run the water pump. We open the lean out valve. And you can watch the air fuel gauge monitor on the dash. It'll show lean when you open the valve. So the other thing is the carburetor is pretty simple. This is our CSU 750 carburetor, and it has 4-corner idle mixture. You have one there, and then there's, of course, 2 on the other side that match. And I set those idle mixture screws as lean as I can get them without it stumbling when you go to set the trans brake and put it on the mat. And that way the engine idles very clean. It doesn't drool and slobber. We try to run the initial fuel pressure as low as we can. I think it's about 9 pounds. Has about 9 pounds of fuel pressure. And of course it has dual needle and seat fuel bowls. So yeah, we just try to run it as lean as we can at idle. And if we start it, we warm it up all the way if possible. And we try not to run the engine cold. We try to run it at least 160, and sometimes it's hard to get it to 160, but what would you say you normally stage it at, Billy? 160, 170, 165?
160, 155, right in there.
Ooh, I didn't know you were running it that cold. I used to try to run my car about 180, but this thing on boost, at 30 pounds of boost getting pushed to it sometimes, it's probably best that we don't run it quite that hot. But anyhow, that's how we get by with not having to change oil all the time. Now, we may drain the oil out of this and you guys see the oil and say, oh, he's full of shit. So we'll find out. Let's run this thing up in the air and drain the oil, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, let's see what it looks like. Don't look too bad. There's a little bit of water in it, but probably from just starting it up and being cold. Anything on the drain plug?
Nothing crazy.
That's not bad. It's been in there for a month.
It's definitely ready.
Yeah. Probably ought to be changing oil in about every 2 weeks instead of once a month, you know?
Well, it wasn't necessarily like I ran it every weekend, but yeah.
You know, starting it up and shutting it off and constantly having to warm it up down at the pad running from the cops is what probably did this, because that's the worst I've ever seen it. Whatever, I'm just glad we're doing it. So what are we doing now, Junior? Running the valves?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and adjust the valves.
Just got the one side off for now. We run Harlan Sharp roller rockers, standard small block Chevy, 7/16 stud, and we run these Proform stud girdles because that's basically the only ones that Jegs keeps in stock at 11th Avenue, and every time we need a set, we need them hurry, and that's just what they keep in there. So both these trucks have the same rocker arms and the same stud girdles on them, same cylinder heads. Now they're both about to have the same intake and the same carburetor. So I got a hold of Kevin at Carburetor Solutions Unlimited the other day and told him that we were getting ready to put twins on the blue truck. So we're going to get started on that here pretty soon. The short block's sitting back here on an engine stand. I got to get that tore apart pretty soon. But it'll be a 750 E85 blow-through carburetor on Tommy's truck. And we're going to put an intercooler on the front of his and put the radiator probably back underneath the bed. At least that's the plan, but I got to get another intake manifold. Speaking of which, we got to get this stuff going here pretty soon. Either I'm going to waffle it all or keep it for the Nova. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're doing just yet. I haven't had time to clean this stuff up and take good pictures of it or any of that jazz. I need to get the thermostat housing removed and get this throttle linkage piece removed from the carburetor and just get it cleaned up and put all the stuff back together on it. The jets are laying over here and it's kind of a mess right now, but Probably ought to take that carburetor apart and show everybody what was in that carburetor. I know a lot of people were asking about that back when Tommy's truck was still running. So I don't know if I'm gonna keep that carburetor for the Nova or just really haven't had much time to think about it lately. And I know there was a lot of interest in that raffle if we do it, but I'll try and get something done with that stuff here pretty soon. So here's a little problem we got going on. Evidently the methanol is eating the powder coat off the inside of the valve covers. So that's not good. We have to run the one valve cover upside down to keep the breathers up in the front of the engine. Probably ought to go get some valve covers, Slim Shady.
Yeah, we'll get some of the MARION jigs.
So since our AFR valve covers seem to be suffering from fatigue, and I wouldn't say fatigue, but the black powder coat's peeling off on the inside. We bought these for Tommy's truck a long time ago, but we were having trouble with them leaking, and I think maybe it was the valve cover gaskets themselves that was causing the problem. So we're going to try them one more time. I got another one over here we're cleaning up in the parts cleaning tank right now. So I'm home for the day. Billy just got here, work on his truck some more. Let's see what he's up to.
Recording me?
I am now. What are you doing there, Dinkman?
So, thinking about getting rid of the Zuma
Why?
because I don't like to deal with how it starts really cold, and it's getting to be that time of year where it's going to be unusable. You have to mess around with it for an hour to get it started. And Tommy's wanting to ride with us this weekend, so I was figuring maybe I could get a trade on a nicer four-wheeler or something.
Oh.
I want Tommy to be able to go with us this weekend. He's kind of wanting to ride, but you know, this thing doesn't get used very much when it's cold out.
All right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
So Billy's looking at wheeler dealer and the Zuma off, I guess. We've got a new radiator here we got to get put in. The problem is that Billy's radiator isn't exactly mounted very well, believe it or not. And what happens is, if you can see that, radiator slid back. I mean, you got to really push on that thing pretty hard because it's got this aluminum bar across the top that Nick helped Billy mount up there. But I mean, it pulls, the truck was pulling so hard when it was leaving down there that the radiator shoved back, and this fitting on the wastegate poked a hole in the radiator right there. So Billy went and picked up a new radiator down at CarQuest at A1 Auto Parts. Well, technically I picked it up. But anyway, we've got Bible study here tonight. Pastor Glenn, my good friend, is coming out tonight for our Bible study session. We do that every Thursday, or at least we try to. So evidently Billy's working on maybe selling or trading that Zuma off. And once we get done with Bible study, we may all go out to dinner and then come back here tonight and work on the truck. Tomorrow is Friday. I've got a full day tomorrow hauling stone and sand. I got a load of sand I got to haul in the morning for the neighbor. And I've got some drainage work Tommy and I is going to finish up in Johnstown. And then hopefully tomorrow night we'll be at MARION for the 28th race up there. And we'll see how that goes. So that's our itinerary for this evening. That's what we're up to tonight. So we're going to get off here for the night. We're going to have Bible study here in a little bit. What time is it?
It's like 5:30.
Okay, so Pastor Glenn's going to be here in about 30 minutes for Bible study.
5:47.
All right, so he's going to be here in about 10 or 15 minutes. So we're going to hop off here for the night. We've got Bible study tonight here in about 15 minutes. Just real quick, guys, I wanted to make a mention and get Billy's input here on it. I don't know how he feels about it, but I noticed a little bit of online stuff this week. People making excuses for us for losing down there second round, and I really wish people wouldn't make excuses for us. We don't need that. We don't want it. Yeah. Like people saying, well, Ryan's on 29s and he's tube chassis and this, that, and the other, and we don't need that. We knew he was going to be there, right?
That's just street racing, man. It's pull up whatever tire you're on. If they consider a 29 a small tire, that's what it is. No,
Yeah.
that's my fault for not building something that I can fit a bigger tire, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So when you guys do things like that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say fans. I don't know if we've got fans. I don't know what that's all about. But if you enjoy what we're doing and you respect us for who we are and what we stand for, instead of making excuses on live feeds or making negative comments about our competitors, I'd rather everybody that if you really enjoy our channels and you really appreciate who we are and what we stand for, instead of making excuses, just tell them congratulations, you guys beat my favorite street racers, you know, or somebody that I really look up to. So you guys must be working hard, because we know that those guys work hard, right, Bill?
Oh yeah, they work way harder than we do. There's no question. I mean, they've been out all year, every weekend thrashing, and they've been working for years, man. Ryan's been street racing way longer than I have.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily, I just mentioned Ryan, but I've seen it on other occasions. And another thing I really don't appreciate is like in the driver's meeting, the young man that you got paired with first round, I was watching the live feed and I just cringed because that young man drew your chip and everybody's like, oh, Billy's getting a bye run. I really wish people wouldn't do that. I hate that. I hate hearing people put other people down like that, because that boy paid his money to race and he's got just as good a chance as anybody else. Anything can happen on the street, right?
I think it was his friend that said I had a bye run.
Oh, well, maybe that's not so bad then.
Like, I think they were just joking.
Oh, okay. But anyway, just at any rate, just if you appreciate who we are and what we're doing and what we're about, we like to bring people together. We like to make people feel comfortable to drive 15 hours one way to come race with us or be around us, you know, and don't put anybody down and belittle anybody and things like that. Just if we get beat, we get beat. Don't make excuses for us. Just congratulate them. It would mean the world to us to see people that follow us be respectful and treat people with some dignity. So that's it for tonight, guys. And we're gonna hop off here and go to Bible study. I think my pastor just pulled in. So love y'all. Take care.